Congratulations. Imagine you've just landed your first role as a UX researcher. Super exciting. But now you're thinking, wait, I'm the company's first research hire. What do I do now? I'm Ash Montes, and I've seen this play out a couple of times as a UX researcher, so let's talk about it. I wanted to make this video to give an idea on the first steps you can take as a UX research team of one. Just to give you some context, today a growing number of companies are hiring their first UX researcher. Before that, they may have relied on their own UX designer to have done the research, but now they expect one person to be spearheading all things UX research. This means there should be room to try things differently, and you're the person to set the research practice inside the company. Nice. But
with great power comes great responsibility.
You might feel that when it comes to research decisions, you're a bit by yourself. So it's hard to know if you're focusing on the right things in the right order. You might get some support from the person you answer to inside the company. This could be the UX lead or head of product. But one thing to keep in mind is that they're expecting you to take the lead on things. With all that said, what should you start with? I came across this book that I thought was aimed at managers transitioning to a new job, but it works well for exactly someone who is starting as a UX research team of one. So yeah, book recommendation here, The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. Right at the beginning of the book, it says, be careful of going into action mode and missing the opportunity to learn from others. So try to make the first 30 days all about soaking up as much information as possible from the decision makers. Go on a listening tour, speak to others on the vertical, meaning your manager and your manager's manager, and also on the horizontal, so all your peers. This is a chance to learn what is the context the team is working in, build relationships, and prepare yourself for what is to come. I just mentioned the title of the book, 90 Days here. And well, this is another thing to keep in mind. Milestones, you can work with milestones. Even if it's just for yourself, you can establish for the first 30 days to be all about listening and learning. What would you aim for when you complete 60 days and then 90 days? As we're speaking of time and deadlines, let me share a little secret. Let's keep it between us because it's easy to misunderstand. When you join a company, everyone talks of speed. And speed is indeed key. Everyone is attuned to that. But who is talking of rigor? You'll be the one talking about rigor, making sure the research is done right. Let me give you an example. I was working in a company and we ran a usability testing for 2 days. And the product team scheduled for us to present the results the day after the sessions. So what analysis did they expect the researchers would do? No analysis. This is where you have to develop some confidence to push back and make a strong case for what research is for. What is the difference between good research and bad research? I see a few researchers, especially if they're starting out, they might shy away from this and rationalize as if they're just being a team player. But this often leads to poor research findings. In the long run, you're not actually doing what you were hired to do. As you're the first UX research hire, there might be a lot of excitement and quite a few projects coming your way with people asking for your input. So what you have to get used to straight away is prioritizing projects and explaining why one project may require research before the other. You don't have to do this alone. You can ask others to collaborate in this prioritization exercise. There's a few different prioritization frameworks out there. I wrote about one I used some time ago in an article I'll share below. I've seen a recent one done by the Spotify team, and you can find more frameworks if you look out there on the general web. As you go through this prioritization exercise, you still want to convey to people that you're excited to work in all these different projects, right? It's just a matter of bandwidth. you simply can't take all at once. As you're working on prioritizing research projects, there's another thing that is highly recommended. What you want is to identify what is the most impactful research that can be done. And to find out about this, it's like interviewing customers to understand what is the most useful feature. You can't just go to a person and ask point blank, what do you want? The answer would be very much what they expect you need to hear. So how do you uncover real needs with customers? Instead of asking what the person wants, you try to understand more about their day-to-day lives, what are their struggles, let them talk about themselves. Little by little, you start to see what is key to the decision makers inside the company. What are the things they are really paying attention to? This will allow you to start seeing what is tactical work and what is strategic work. This is a concept that many UX researchers develop an intuition for. Strategy is usually tied to something long-term, driven by business objectives, tactics, or how strategy gets implemented. So at this point, you're listening to the decision makers, the internal stakeholders, you're prioritizing research requests, finding out which ones will deliver more value, and you're thinking more big picture, strategic, instead of just rushing and firefighting all these urgent requests you get. The hope here is you'll get some easy wins and people will trust your lead on these. And you keep prioritizing the projects as they come in. The only inevitable truth is that researchers are usually under-resourced. Think about it, UX research team of one. UX research does need some support. Does that mean you go around asking for help? There's another way of looking at it. You're giving people the opportunity to learn from customers or potential customers. Do you notice the difference? This is where it's good to think of UX research as not about acquiring information, but disseminating knowledge across the team. So if you reach out to the team members and they're happy to support you, will they actually get to run research projects? Short answer, it depends. I'm planning on making a video on the topic, but it really depends on the level of UX maturity of the company. I'll go into more detail another time. Regardless, if you want others to get involved, you should try to make things as easy as possible for them. You could create a video with instructions on how to take notes during an interview session, for example, or create a checklist that people can run through to make sure that they have the right research requirements. So any strategies to help people feel like they're getting some support. A common thing to happen is for decision makers to say, we're not at the screen design phase and there's nothing to test. So you don't need to be a part of this meeting or you don't need to be a part of this conversation. This is a sign you can do more to make research more visible to the team and make it better understood so that they consider you to join early in the process. How do you make research more visible? You can have some design artifacts to piggyback on, making UX research more visible to the larger organization as you collaborate with designers. You can share findings loudly and clear. If the company has an internal newsletter, couldn't this be an opportunity to advertise the research results or interesting findings you've learned along the way? As a UX research team of one, there's another part that you'll be responsible for, setting up or managing the operational side. Ideally, what you want is to make the process as automated as possible, so you don't have to think too much about it. I won't go into details on this now, but yeah, this covers the process for finding and paying usability participants, templates for study plans, tools for conducting and analyzing your research, and a way to store and easily share anything related to research, including data that is supposed to be GDPR compliant. GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulation. It's a regulation established in Europe that allows consumers to understand and control how their data is used. This is applicable to Europe and also the UK at this point. I left in the description a number of links from the ResearchOps community. There are guides, templates, and many other resources that may be useful to you. And finally, the holy grail, what you're aiming for as the dust settles and you're more comfortable in your role, you'll start to think and communicate a vision of how UXR should be working with product. This will also connect with how success is being measured inside the company. But the topic of measuring success from the user perspective is a big one. We'll leave it for another video. I have left in the description below a few links from talks and articles from people that inspired me to this video. Let me single out Leah Bewley with her book UX Team of One. Not specifically about research, but certainly a reference. As a UX researcher, you bet I'm very curious to hear, was this helpful to you? You can like the video or leave a comment, and in that way, I'm learning too. And if you're interested in more videos like this, just click on subscribe. There are more videos coming up, and I'll see you around.